We are live in the studio. This is Annalise.
This is Rob.
And this is Dr. Intern Joan.
And we are your nerd best friends.
I was on the wrong document. All right, nerds, it's episode 100. You'd think I would be able to go to the one that has the big celebration 100 on the top, but we are here celebrating our milestone episode 100. Let's go.
Bow, bow, bow.
Whoop, whoop. Hey, nerds, do us a favor. Follow, subscribe, and share this episode and this podcast with a fellow nerd. Help us grow the nerd herd. And now strap in, roll for initiative, and let's get nerdy. You guys, it's episode 100-ish.
It is episode 100,
well, that was supposed to be
and
you
I have
reading
already
that,
made 2 glaring mistakes.
No, that was me. I just read the opening. It was supposed to be you, but that's okay. We're going to keep rolling with it anyways. You can read the next one, but it's episode 100. I got to say, like, this is official title episode 100, but I think after the summer between season 1 and season 2, we stopped counting our summer special episodes as numbered episodes. So we might be closer to the 110, 115 range, but this is the official episode 100 because the summer stuff is just us being nerdy
Main
and
show.
having fun. So here we go, episode 100. And what are we going to do? It's a nerdstravaganza. We're going to just nerd out about ourselves because we're cool like that. Before
We've
we
got
get to all
Intern
that.
Joan
We have Dr.
here.
Intern Joan in the studio. What's that?
Hello. I'm back.
Hi. And we have some Patreons in the studio watching us. It's just a party all around. So grab a drink of your choice and let's talk nerdy to me. Okay, on another note, we are in our 5th season, closer in time to publish date than we ever have been before. We're a few weeks ahead, but we are a few weeks ahead. And earlier this week, we had a couple of very prominent nerd actors pass away. In case you hear any references from Rob throughout the episode of the legendary Chuck Norris Doesn't Podcast. The podcasts run him. I don't know. I'm bad at Chuck Norris jokes, but Chuck Norris passed away. And
Listen, it is RIP to a real one with Chuck Norris, known for being a man who never read books. He just stared them down until they surrendered their information.
he is responsible for the ability for Average Joe's Gym to go into battle against the, oh my gosh, am I going to blank? Chuck Norris was the deciding vote against, it's not Cobra Kai. How am I
Robo-Gym,
blanking on
Globo-Gym.
Dodgeball? Globo Gym, thank you. Thank you, Chuck Norris. If you don't know that reference, go watch
Yes,
Dodgeball.
you got to give the Chuck Norris thumbs up. This is an audio podcast, but just imagine we all took a few seconds of silence with a Chuck Norris thumbs up in honor. RIP to a real one.
We also are going to talk nerdy to me about the passing of Nicholas Brendon, who played Xander Harris on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Obviously, Buffy's a big part of our podcast. It's a big part of our lives. We know there were issues he had as a person post filming Buffy, but what a masterclass by the Buffy cast to acknowledge who he was at the time they all worked together, and the impact pop culture has on Buffy and the character Xander Harris himself. So in Talk Nerdy to Me today, let's talk about our favorite Xander moments. Joan, would you like to go first?
Sure. I think the one on the top of my mind is the yellow crayon speech that stopped Willow from ending the world.
Yes.
I love
Remember that. Yes.
right? I love his emotional support of the characters. I consider that the bigger moment. The smaller moments, like when he paid off Cordelia's dress so she could go to prom when she had to work because her dad lost his job. Just those little supporting moments and that emotional support from him in that show. Spectacular.
Yeah, he's the only one, right? Him and Cordelia, they are the only ones in that show that don't have any bigger purpose or special powers, or they aren't a werewolf or some other being, and they serve two very opposite points of the show. So the human side of it for both of them. I'll go with the Zeppo episode, and I want to say it's season 3. And what I love about this episode is it really just hangs that lampshade on the fact that he is this person without any powers. He's just there. And in fact, Cordelia makes fun of him early in the episode, saying like, oh, you're the go get donuts guy. That's your only purpose here. And all around him as he goes through his day, there's like an apocalypse going on. There's something huge. We as the audience never quite learn what it is because we're seeing the whole series of events from Xander's point of view, and he ends up mixed up with some guys that are up to no good and stops them from like blowing up the school by himself. So his non-powers power to help things not go bad. Very distinctly, my favorite scene in this whole episode is there's this melodramatic, the Buffy and Angel theme is going. They're both in tears, arguing with each other. You can't go into battle on your own. It's just that typical Buffy and Angel dynamic. And Xander's there going, guys, and they just flat out like, we can't deal with you right now. And he's like, they're good. Okay. And it's just this really powerful scene to see what life is like for Xander Harris in the middle of all that. So that's my favorite Xander moment. You got one, Rob?
I do. It is, I always think of, when I think of Buffy, I think of like the last season and that last arc, the one with Nathan Fillion and the apocalypse is coming and they're really like ramping up to end all of these things. And in that season is when the Xander Harris character gets his eyeball gouged out and he's wearing a patch over one eye for the remainder of that season. And my favorite part about that is the jokes that keep coming up that Xander, the character Xander himself, are making about that. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I guess my depth perception wasn't quite good enough for that. Or like, could you speak it? Like, I couldn't hear you. Can you speak into my left eye? Or like just weird things like that where he keeps referencing it as like, what are you going to do? You can't just be depressed about it forever. You got to make some jokes and do the thing. And so I remember those jokes as being just like kind of shocking as far as like this tragedy and all the stuff that's going on. But he would always find those jokes to land about his missing eye in those last few episodes.
What a heartbreaking moment to watch that happen in real time when season 7 was like live. And how about the moment that he loses that eye and almost dies at the hands of Nathan Fillion's character is someone finally showing him what his powers were in the Scooby Gang, right? You are the seer, therefore I'm going to make you not see. Just such a poignant, well written, and yeah, again, for all the troubles he had as a person, and there's a lot, in trying to separate person from character, he brought some humanity to a character that could have just been goofy and not been part of the Scooby Gang all those years. So best wishes to his friends and family, and obviously Buffy fans everywhere. What a rough week or so it's been for Buffy fans, between Hulu saying no to the new Sunnydale and all the nonsense social media things that are happening after, and then for Nicholas Brendon to pass away at the end of the same week. Just rough for Buffy fans. So we're feeling you, fans. It's making me really want to go to HellmouthCon just to go. We're not going to do a panel or anything this year, but we did get offered media passes, and spoiler alert, I might be in town. So maybe dress as Xander. Maybe I'll dress as Xander this year. Go to HellmouthCon.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I'll one more memory of HellmouthCon from 2 years ago is the first thing Annalise, I think you said, was, these are the steps that Xander fell down on his skateboard. That was the other memory. So there's another Xander
as we
memory
were
that was
walking up the
forever.
school, because it looks exactly the same. It is the same
sure
rail, even. It's crazy. And I think I saw on social media some people were they put lit candles and stuff outside the school this weekend on those steps right there. So that was really cool. Let's get to our 100th episode. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I was
just
going
going to
to
say,
say,
speaking of
subscribers
Buffy and monsters and vampires and stuff, it is a well-known fact that when monsters go to bed, they check underneath the bed and in the closet for Chuck Norris.
I have heard that as well. Thank you, Chuck Norris. Our Patreon subscribers in the studio, feel free to throw in the chat if you have a favorite Xander moment. We'll come back to it. But we are on episode 100 Extravaganza. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
It's weird to say we have 100 episodes. It feels like we've not been doing this for a long time, and then sometimes it feels like we've been doing this for 5 years. So in the middle of all that, we're just going to do some reminiscing, some thought-provoking nerd questions. And we're going to start with maybe a top favorite moment throughout the 5 seasons of the podcast thus far. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first. I couldn't pin down a perfect moment or great moment that we hadn't already talked about, because we do this thing at the end of each season. We look at the season and we talk about what was your favorite part and stuff like that. And so I was thinking back, I'm like, no, I think I talked about that in the season 2 finale. I think I talked about that in the season 3 finale. But looking at overall the 5 seasons of the show, I think my favorite moments are when we decided to do sprinkle in these top 5 episodes that we've done. And I think the top 5 episodes, even though they're kind of cheesy, right? Every nerd podcast does a top 5 episode. There's definitely nothing unique about that. In fact, most of the topics we choose are done to death if you look them up. But what I like about them and why I like that we started doing them is because it helps the audience, I think, get to know us better. It helps us to kind of explore those things. Sometimes we'll come up with something new, and sometimes we'll come up with things. It's I bet Rob's going to say Jim Henson again. Yep, he did. That's okay though, because we have that sort of relationship where our listeners are getting to know us. The other part about the top 5 episodes that's so rewarding is that those are the episodes that generate the most listener feedback. When we talk about who's going to be on your Mount Rushmore, when we talk about your top 5 cars, people will write in, even if they don't come up with their super big top 5 detailed list, somebody will write in or give a comment on it or whatever with their favorite thing. And it's always like, oh, reminds you, oh, you know what? People are listening, people are talking about it, people are thinking about it. I didn't think of that car, but yeah, that's so funny. Like, it's just really cool to see that since we started doing that, we have that feedback, and it gives us, I think it opens things up as far as our nerds and our fan bases and the things that we love. So I'm gonna go with 100 episodes, maybe the top five episodes that we've done.
You know what's funny about those top 5 episodes? We actually really started doing that to like hone in our conversation, because we can nerd out for a very long time on some of these, like pop culture cars. We probably could have talked about 20 each or something ridiculous like that. So we started doing that format to really narrow in and make us choose like very specifically things that we want to talk about on the podcast. And it organically just became, I agree, there's some of my favorite episodes as well. That's a
Right
really
on.
good call. They're a lot of fun. What
Well, and
about you,
I'll
Dr. Jim?
Yeah,
Right. I'll
Dr.
jump in and
Joe.
say I love the top fives because it is a way to kind of narrow down the focus. And my first top 5 was top 5 villains. And that's when I feel like I hit my stride. I got to share a little bit of my personality. Everything Rob said about top 5s, I think, is where I came out in that episode of this is who I am and these are the things I like.
Right on.
And then I'm going to make another one because this is breaking all the rules of just one top favorite moment.
There are no rules.
There's no
This is
rules at the
episode
100
Rules are
party.
out the window.
It's like when you're 100 years old, you just do whatever the heck you want. You say
I don't
whatever
care
you
if
want.
Lego says 1 to 99. I'm going to play Legos at 100.
That's right.
Chuck Norris would play Legos at 100.
Chuck Norris played Legos at 100.
He just stares at them and they put themselves together.
I mean, if we are going to talk math and we're going to talk Chuck Norris, it is a well-known fact that Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice.
I love it. So my favorite moment, back to me and us, nerding out about us.
Yes.
I still cannot believe that listeners wrote in nerd mail about book recommendations for me. Like, who am I that I'm in people's ears talking about books, and who are they talking back to me? It's ridiculous.
Heck yes. That's pretty awesome, right?
Joe, you're the person who's read every book on the planet. You've read so many books, you have to read books that haven't even come out yet.
It's true.
You are an arc.
You're the Chuck Norris of books.
Unread books
Chuck Norris
come to
doesn't
me.
read books. He calls Joan
That's
for
right.
recommendations.
I
For
can't handle the
synopsis.
pressure. Anyway, it tickles me. I just can't believe I'm doing this with you guys. So top moment that I was invited in.
We're so glad you come on the show with us, because you could have just been an intern behind the scenes, but like extra nerding is extra nerding, and I love it. But that segues into my favorite. I think my favorite moment is actually something that didn't happen on the podcast, but one of the whole points of us doing this podcast is just to share our nerdiness and to get people to respond. And we have a pretty good response rate to episodes. That's pretty steady. We would always love more and more listeners, but getting that first nerd mail, and this is a twofold. The very first I went back and looked, the very first nerd mail we got was from America's favorite teen nerd, Andrew. And it was this like 10-paragraph essay about Batman, because we had done a Batman episode the first season, and why some of the ones that he was bringing up were better than what we brought up. But it wasn't like just like, hey, nerds, this one is better. It was like an essay that I had to actually print out and read. He did a good job.
That sounds
and think about it.
Yep.
And 5 years ago, he was what, in like 6th grade?
12, 11, 12,
Yeah, it was wild. And this was not ChatGPT. This was Andrew writing this essay about what and why we were wrong. And I loved that. Simultaneous with that, we also got nerd mail that same week from some of our listeners who talked about how much they love our ending hook of and our ending question every episode of What's the Nerdiest Thing We Did this week. We early on got some nerd mail about one particular family doing that at the dinner table. What's the nerdiest thing you did at school today? And just nerding out with their kids at the dinner table. And I hope you're still doing that 5 years later. Maybe now your kid's like in college, so maybe it's a phone call once a week. What's the nerdiest thing you did this week? But that was really cool that people started to take that into their family discussions and part of their lives, which is really cool. That's my favorite. Those are my favorite moments. We're off the podcast getting our nerd.
Well, it sounds like for all three of us, and it's no surprise because that's why we do this, is the listener engagement is one of the most important things and one of the most like rewarding and valuable things that we have. Otherwise, we would just talk on the phone all day.
Yeah,
Not all
pretty
day,
much.
but we just talk on the phone once a week, right? We wouldn't have to
Right.
put this out here. It's for the
Yeah.
community. It's for the listeners.
And so that there is a space to nerd about anything and everything.
That's right.
Which
And
now
before we
leads us,
move on, I just
Before we
wanted
move on.
to bring this up real quick. Did you know that Chuck Norris once won a game of rock, paper, scissors against a mirror?
Well,
All right,
I
let's dive deep.
Speaking
Our
of mirrors,
Yes. I'm starting
Speaking
with
of-
the man in the mirror.
there it is right there. Nerd Confessions. And
Nerd
so when I put
Confessions.
this title in our script box, Joe's like, "Can you tell me more what you mean by Nerd Confessions?" And I'm like, I don't remember what I answered, but basically anything. What do you want to confess on episode 100 right now about this podcast and our nerding out?
Man, I'll go first as the newest member, I think. That's only
Okay.
fair. I really came in hot with all these big, fantastic ideas, and then I realized I also had a life, and I couldn't commit as much time as I wanted to fill out the things for this podcast. So the show notes are left in disarray on the website with all the links. They were fun, but I couldn't. Posting every day on social media, not possible when you also have a job and a family, etc. That part, the behind the scenes part, I feel like I overpromised and underdelivered, or maybe whatever. And every single time I'm online. See? No edits or
Like
mess
right
ups.
now?
No
Like right now,
edits. Right
Joe?
now, I am very nervous every single time. And if you saw the extensive amount of notes I have also on my screen that I need to refer to or read straight from every time, I'm very nervous every single time.
Oh my gosh, Joe, me too. I have next to this screen like 4 more Chuck Norris jokes.
Well,
That's
you
called
gotta space
prep.
them out. We're only on the second part.
That's called prep.
Well, I mean, I can't tell you're that nervous, Joan.
Great.
And prep is fantastic.
That's what a confession is. It is just your inner soul without. Thank you. Thank you.
My nerd confession is going to be quite a little bit different than Rob's, which is great because we often share the joke that we are male female versions of the same person. So it makes also total sense that we have complete like yin and yang type of the same thing. My confession is I wish we would have gone to weekly episodes sooner. Because what it's done for us is helped us focus our nerdiness, focus our conversations. And we have some early season episodes that are like almost 2 hours long. Our Firefly episode, I had over 3 hours of content to slim down into like almost 2. Like I love that nerdy aspect. And also there's a distinction for me now between when it's just us hanging out and being nerdy versus when we want to hang out, be nerdy, and share that with others. And in order to share it with others, being a bit more concise, I think has helped a lot. So I do wish we had gone to this format a little bit sooner. I enjoy listening to our episodes much more when they're not an hour and a half long.
Sure,
So
nobody got time for that.
yeah, and so I think my nerd confession is I had thought about it for a couple seasons, but before we started working with Riverside, and this is not like we're not sponsored by them or anything, but we do use that platform. I couldn't wrap my head around how we do it. And working with Riverside, it's now been a year since we started Riverside. I know this because I just got the notification that the subscription renewed on my credit card.
Ooh, Patreon.com/nerdbestfriends.
Please help us out, or Venmo at Nerd Best Friends. But it has changed the way we look at our episodes, and it's changed the way I edit, which now really takes very little time above the length of an episode. So yeah, being able to do this format, I think has really been really cool, and looking forward to continuing it however we can.
All right. My nerd confession is the complete opposite. Oh my gosh. There are weekends when I wake up on Sunday morning and the last thing I want to do is spend 3 hours sitting in this chair podcasting. I gotta admit, like we talk about, oh, it's episode 100. I'm like, it feels like episode 200. Bro. Like I'm such a whiner on Sunday mornings, especially depending on like sometimes the weeks are long. Sometimes like, on the weekends you got stuff and those Saturdays can be really long. Those Saturday nights can be long. And it's like, oh my gosh. And my poor family, I'm over here all grumpy before I get my coffee in the morning on Sunday. Like, oh, I gotta go record this podcast and talk about some dumb stuff. Like, I don't know. And it's like, but it always turns out fine, right? We always come down once I like sit down there. We open up the docs. Annalise and I, we usually, we've got 5-10 minutes to kind of catch up and talk about things that are going on and like kind of get in the headspace. Like it always works out and it's always a fun time. But my nerd confession is there's a lot of grumbling on some of these Sunday mornings before I actually sit down. And my poor family, they're like, "You really hate this podcast, don't you?" No, I don't. I'm just a big wanker.
Well,
Um,
but be real, Rob. Do you ever feel that way before D&D? Like sometimes Saturday mornings, like, man, I could just use the morning to like do some laundry and chill out. Like, I really don't want. I love playing D&D with my friends, but I really just want to go to the farmers market. Or like, that happens to me on many things, and then we end up getting into it. Like, I really don't want to travel to this place and get on the airplane and and then we get there and
for
it's
sure.
awesome. So
Yes.
I mean, nerd confession, I have felt the same. Some Sundays, especially, like we both have really hard jobs, and there's times of the school year that it's worse than others. Right now is one of them.
Yep.
And it's really hard to think like, do I really have it in me to go and do it? But then, like as always, once we get together and start hanging out, it's pretty cool.
It also speaks to that like social aspect, the aspect that we were talking about in the first one. If it was something I had to do by myself, I probably wouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? Like if this was like, oh, it's Rob's solo nerd podcast hour where he sits down every week and talks about the nerdy thing, it would have been nope, because of all those moments. Like, who am I accountable to? Myself? Forget that. But it's like, no, like Annalise is waiting for me. People are gonna listen. There's a timeline. The episode's gonna come out. You gotta get with it, Rob. But it's just one of those things, and you're right. Like especially the I will admit the during the week D&D games we have on like the Tuesday or the Wednesday night, like those Tuesdays sometimes. I think the name of the week should be changed to It's Only Tuesday. Because every single Tuesday, it's like, oh my gosh, what a week! It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday.
And we have Dungeons and Dragons that night, and for sure. And like it also helps that we start a little later, right? We don't start those games until 7:30, so I actually have time to like wind
Yeah.
down and get ready and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're exactly right. With stuff like that, when the going gets tough, Rob gets whiny, and it happens too with travel. Like you're right. Oh my gosh, I gotta wake up early. I gotta go to this airport. I gotta sit on a plane for 2 hours. This is gonna be the worst. And then you'll forget all about that once you get started in doing the thing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the other thing that I will say as far as during confessions is not we. Annalise and Joan have done an amazing job with our social media presence and getting clips out there and responding to people and putting up posts and asking questions and really trying to engage people in that way. And every year that goes by, like it's never been better for Nerd Best Friends social media. And also, I have never wanted to open a social media app less in my life. And again, this could be just like time of the year, things get crazy, but like, man, it's really tough for me to go and like look for those Nerd Best Friend posts, see what people are doing, look at the likes, like all that kind of stuff, because I just don't want to be there.
I mean, ultimate wish is that we have enough supporters that we could just hire someone to do all that for us, which isn't our case right now. But I mean, I can't speak for you, Joan. I don't spend a lot of time. Like Joan helped us find tools that I can spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes setting up a week's or 2 weeks worth of social media posts. And it's a set it and forget it. It just is on automated. And the only thing I do is like once a day, I have it timed in my calendar to go in and respond to stuff. And the only thing that has helped that is that, I mentioned a few episodes ago that I've started to sell a bunch of my collector stuff off
Yeah.
eBay. You want to know a benefit? Just tangent here. A benefit about being old is all the stuff we collected in the 90s is now vintage. So I had an old corduroy USC hat that I won in a 25-cent claw machine at the now gone San Marcos Lanes when I was like in 7th grade. And I've had it. I wore it a ton in high school. I never wore it in college because I didn't want to ruin it. Like I might have worn it like out and about, but I never wore it under my helmet or anything because we would get all sweaty and gross. And then it's just been sitting in a storage bag. I am never going, I put that hat on. I'm never going to wear that hat again. But guess what? It's vintage. I sold it for like $30. because it's
Yeah.
vintage from the 90s. So
Yeah.
like all the stuff I've collected and just kept over all these years, it's all vintage now. And like people are clamoring for these things. So I happen to be on my phone more listing stuff because the other thing, like eBay now also has an algorithm and everyone's using AI powered tools and blah, blah, blah. So I have to like batch every day. I have to batch stuff to be released. So it looks like I'm releasing consistently. So while I'm doing that, I also just click over to the Nerd Best Friend stuff and respond to stuff. So it's not as much work as it seems. And also, I would love, Nerd Confession, I would love for our podcast to get popular enough that someone is doing that for us. And then we can just create content. And that includes the editing. I love the editing. It's really cool and easy. But if we could push that on someone else that they, edit and batch release the episodes for us, even better. But that's future.
Right? To be the talent only, to just come in and record and then just do nothing else.
Or have the
The
time to do
dream.
other things as well. Like, remember when we did the newsletters? I really like
Yeah.
the newsletters. I think the newsletters are like a cool thing that you would get in your inbox, and there would be an article that you would read about, like, what are some thoughts, things that, maybe are more timely or we don't get a chance to cover in the podcast, or, those kinds of things where it could be not just your place you go for those nerdy conversations, but also like our Patreon or our social media would be like a hub of like, oh no, I also can go there for like information or something like that. But we got to grow. We'd have to grow a lot to keep up with all that stuff.
We're going to keep trying. The Nerd Herd newsletter's been gone for like a month, maybe 2 months at this point. It's one of those things that fell off every week as things got busier during the school year. So yeah, future plans, man, future plans. But that takes us from the future into the past and some nerdstalgia. So what's
Now,
some
before we
nerdstalgia?
get there,
Yeah.
if we're looking back at the past, there is, of
Yes.
course, the legendary story of the time that Chuck Norris roundhouse kicked a horse in the face. And that is how we got giraffes.
That's a good
That's a good one. That was
That's
a good one.
Yeah, best one so far. Kudos. So, nerdstalgia. Something from the past or something you missed
A
or
memory,
something.
a precious memory. Is that
Yeah.
what we're going for? That's kind of how I took it.
Does it have to be it could be precious, it could be nerdy, it could be all the things. But
Precious, because I remember this time being really mad at you.
well, I mean, that is one of mine, so I'll go first. One of my things
Great.
that I look back on is some episodes where we just were flat out nerd fighting. And they're great. I love listening back to those episodes and getting re-mad. No, I'm just kidding. I love listening to those episodes because it really captures our friendship. It captures real nerd friendships where, like, you're not going to
when
agree
we
about
recorded a
everything.
Supergirl episode and then I didn't talk to you for 2 weeks.
Supergirl? Did it happen with
Mhm.
Supergirl? It did?
Big
We
time.
definitely hated it. and
Oh, the
Rob was like,
movie.
I hate you.
Yeah, the comic book. Now I remember. Yeah, it's good stuff. Because that happens in real life. It would happen in high school. Shut up. We'd get mad at each other and sit next to each other and not talk for like a week. And then all of a sudden go like, you want to go get some nachos? Okay, let's go get nachos. That's real nerd friendship, my friend.
That's what's going to happen. I almost changed my phone number.
Lies. You would never do that. But I will also say, just on another note, like that's one to me. For me, it's nostalgic to me because it is reflective of our real, actual friendship. We're not actors putting on a show
Right.
for this podcast. It's really us. And we are really passionate about these nerd things. And we really disagree. And then we really agree. And this is what friendship is like when you know someone for over 30 years. And that's for both of you, because now, Joan, we've known each other for about 30 years now. So, but the second thing that I put on mine, which was what both a high and a low, was our live panel at Hellmouth Con last year. And it was a high because we had a great plan. Dr. Intern Joan hooked us up with some research and stuff. We had a great slideshow. We had a great setup to record the episode live. We had great audience there, about 100 people or so that came early in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning. We were the first panel that Sunday morning. Lots of people there. We did giveaways. We gave out koozies. We had all the energy. And the only thing we were battling against was some photo shoot with one of the actors. So we had people coming to the door. Like, it was just really, really good. And then we also had people who didn't realize that their church service wasn't there that day. So they came in for a little bit too.
That was my favorite part.
That
My
was
favorite
fun.
part was the church people coming into the auditorium when we were recording that, like looking around at all the people dressed like vampires and then quickly
And then like
shuffling
looking at
themselves
like
away.
Spike up on the screen, all devilish Spike in his artistic work and just nerding out. I thought it was so much fun. Such a high point. I can't wait till we figure out another one, whether we go back to Hellmouth Con, not this year, but maybe next year. Because we did talk about, we created character sheets for 5 people, for 5 characters to play D&D, we talked about maybe we come up with 5 monsters that are Buffy related, and maybe that's our next panel. But the low comes from the fact that we had it all set up, we tested it, we got there early, and then I forgot to press record.
Nope. You know what? It was an
Right.
exclusive. You had to be there.
This
So high and low both there, but when I think about, precious memories, we set to do something that was outside of our comfort zone in the podcast, and we did it. And now looking forward from that precious memory is figuring out another time to do that.
Wonderful. I'm also going to share a precious memory. And my precious memory was meeting Joan before season 4, because I always joke that like I was sure Joan was a figment of your imagination and she didn't really exist. But in real life, like I knew that there was this person. I knew you wanted to bring Joan on board with the podcast and start doing some work and helping us out and those kinds of things, which was exciting. But it also means like, I don't know, like what's going to change? What are the expectations going to be like? What if I don't get along with this person and now they're the intern on the podcast? Like, how's this going to go? And things like that. So there was a little bit of like a build up to that was like a turning point for sure in the way that the show was going to be. It was like, no, we're getting serious about this. Like we're traveling to a place to have a production meeting in person and like hammer stuff out as far as the future of the show and where we were going to go. So there was like a little bit of nervousness and anticipation there of like, oh man, how's this going to go and stuff like that. So I remember that meeting and everything obviously just getting a million times better and us having these conversations. And I've had a lot of those kinds of like feelings of like, oh boy, how's this going to go? I got to make sure that everything's cool whenever we have guests on the show. And that is something that's like, okay, we're bringing in another personality to the show. Like in real life, it doesn't really matter because if it goes terribly wrong and off the rails, we could just delete the episode and record something else, right? It doesn't really matter. But I want it to succeed, right? Like that's the plan. We want to bring in new voices. We want to meet people with cool, different ideas and things that they have to share and celebrate their nerdiness. And literally every single time it's worked out just fine. Like behind the scenes, we've never scrapped an episode with a guest because it was terrible, right?
You're
like
right.
And I am sure many podcasts do have that situation where they're like, well, we talked to this guy, but it was a bad episode, so we trashed it. Sorry it didn't work out for us. But that hasn't happened yet. All we've done is meet cool, kind people, and many of them not even like acting kind because they're promoting something, just generally like I want to share this cool thing with you and I'm so glad that we talked and blah blah blah. It's always been great. So meeting new people through the podcast, meeting fellow nerds and stuff, that is the nerdstalgia, but specifically that meeting with intern Joan where everything changed.
Rob, have we talked about the fact that you guys probably met when we were in college?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have, but it doesn't stick in my mind.
Yeah. And like you were both at my wedding.
Yeah,
But
Well, there were a lot
I
of
get what you
people there.
mean. I get what you mean about meeting officially, like to sit down and whether like there is always that nervousness. Is this going to work out? Yeah, I get you.
And that's where I think my nerdstalgia moment came in. I also had similar feelings. I know Annalise's style, we talk back and forth and we have our own thing. How is it going to work between Rob and I? It's now a triangle of interaction.
Heck yeah.
And of course, I step into being contrary to Rob whenever I can. Now I think that's my role on the podcast, is like Supergirl.
Yeah, I grumble about that on
editing.
Sunday mornings a lot too.
All right, good.
Oh,
Good,
great.
so you
Joan's going to
should.
be on the episode.
Boy,
She's just
go.
But I feel like I totally earned my nerd cred on the podcast when I brought Return to Oz to you all, and Rob loved it. And I was like, I have gotten an A+. I am officially an intern. Like that was my graduation point.
Yes,
For
that
being
was an
accepted
A+
into the
assignment
podcast.
for sure.
Yeah.
That was an amazing episode, first of all. And the fact that neither of us had seen this movie was just like cherry on top of an amazing experience. That was a
Absolutely.
good call.
Almost put that, but you got to the doc first and I saw that you had it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put something else. And that's probably what inspired me to say, like, is Joan great?
My other moment before we move to the next part is because I was doing those show notes, I started with season 1 and moved into season 2 before I started to work backwards. But my other favorite thing was when listeners were recording the intro and it was different nerd things. Like, I don't even remember an example of one right now, but I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we could have our Patreons do that again and have a little intro spot for whoever at whatever level sponsors us. I really loved that because it was participation again, the engagement.
Yeah, that was a
We
really
could do
cool,
that.
unique idea. It was just what I remember is just really hard to get people to do it. And then we tried to get them to write their own. And at one point, I think we were writing them and gave them like, here's 3 options to do. And that's when we came up with the intro that we currently have that Stacy did. So yeah, we could totally get back to that
I could see a
if our
way where
patrons
we
want.
could do that and have a place for submissions on Patreon, and then like if somebody downloads something, we get an alert and be like, oh cool, let's put that in this week, and we don't have to play. What we were trying to do is like, we need a new one and it's got to be different and funny every single episode, and it was too much to manage. But if we just set up a Dropbox someplace where somebody could like throw their thing in, we could listen to it and be like, funny, awesome, stick it in, and then once people start hearing other listeners doing it and coming up with their own thing, maybe more will join in. That'd be fine.
That's definitely Dr. Joe. We're going to add that to the season 6 list of
There you go.
plans. I think we can do it. I will say because I'm the one who edited all of them. My favorite is still Maria's, whose whole point was to swear at Rob in Spanish.
The whole
about
thing was
not
in
getting
Spanish,
anything,
right?
almost the whole thing. She's like, I think she says something like, you're listening to the Nerd Best Friends podcast, but if you weren't, then maybe they'd stop recording this thing and work would get done around the house. And then she just starts going off in Spanish. I think that's my favorite one of all of them.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then at the end of our season, like if you go back and listen to the season 1 recap, it's a mix of all of them, which I thought, it took me a really long time to do because I was still really learning Audacity at the time.
Yeah.
But like that opening, I think is my favorite of all of them because it's a splice of the whole season's worth of all of our intro guests. So go back to the season 1 recap and at least listen to that opening. Like I'm really proud of that one. That was something that I thought of and did.
It's amazing.
All right. So Nerdstalgia behind us. We did a couple of calls for questions on social media saying, hey, it's episode 100. Join us by adding in some stuff.
Cool.
So let me, I got to go and actually open up. One of them is Threads. So I'm going to open up Threads because we got some.
Hey, while you're looking for that, I just
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah,
remind you,
tell us.
did you guys know that Chuck Norris once slammed a revolving door?
I don't know. Yes. No, I didn't know that. What is the response?
I don't know what, because Annalisa's still looking. I don't know what the ecological and like homeostasis of the earth is going to be with Chuck Norris gone, because what I do know is that the flu got a Chuck Norris shot every year.
Now it doesn't have to.
No, it doesn't have to.
Yeah. It's going
Or
to change the
can't.
world.
Yeah.
Here's a nerd question for you. And these are related to the podcast, related to previous episode. I just really open-ended. Give us a question to read on episode 100.
Boy, here we go.
Here's a question. And let me see. Let me go to their Emona Literary Services. Could a lightsaber cut through Superman? Could a lightsaber
cut through Superman? Well, a lightsaber can cut. Like, let's just go. I'm just starting this. I'm just workshopping. I'm workshopping my answer here.
Yeah,
like I have to do an intern trivia.
Yes. Okay.
But I think that's more just kind of hyperbole because we've seen Superman, like, I don't know, man, he can like fly into a sun and he'll die, but he'll come back. So I think.
Have we seen anything cut through Superman? Have we really actually ever seen him bleed? Because steel is like an analogy, right? He's not
Right,
really
exactly.
actually made of steel. So is he made of I would say if the stone inside the lightsaber was kryptonite, yes. It would cut through Superman.
The kryptonite kyber crystal.
Ooh.
My gosh.
I think that's going to be the only way a lightsaber could cut through Superman.
That is the coolest thing I've ever heard. I love it because I was going to say it's a cooler fight and it's a cooler battle if it actually does hurt him. But the idea that in this weird DC Star Wars universe matchup that we've got going is like, oh, they go after Superman with the lightsaber technology and it doesn't work and he's just batting them away. And then they got to go back and they got to somehow like do some chemical mixture where the kyber crystal grows with kryptonite infused minerals or whatever, and then they come back with a green kryptonite lightsaber and start like really wailing on him. Like, that's a cool comic book. That's awesome. I think you nailed it, Ollie's.
I could also think that the one without kryptonite might like hurt him. It might like sting, that it stops him for a minute, or maybe like
Like
his
it
powers
burns
go a
and
little
cuts, but then,
haywire or
like he
yeah,
heals right away or something
right.
like that
He's
from
like,
it. Yeah.
"Ow!" And then he heals and looks back and fights more. And so
Yeah.
then they go back and create a way for the kryptonite to get infused in the lightsaber and then really do some damage and try to murder him.
Yep.
Seems like a
And
great
then
Lex Luthor plot to meld universes.
and like force powers versus Superman powers, right? Like he's like using super breath to blow people around the battlefield, and they're using force powers to like dump stuff on him and distract him so they get it with the lightsaber. So like it's cool. Jedi's versus Superman is a real cool fight. I think you figured it out.
That is a really good idea. Thank you for that question. I also, not really quite a question, but I want to talk about two we went viral. I don't know if you guys were aware of this. We went
We
viral on
did.
TikTok. We went
Oh, is that
viral
why we're
on
so
TikTok.
rich now?
Yes, we have tens of dollars. We went viral on TikTok for our clip from the episode talking about 1996, and particularly the Jewel Who Will Save Your Soul video on pop-up video.
About
I
the
cannot
toilets?
tell you, yes, about how many people are like, I also choose the first stall in public bathrooms because of this video. Like hundreds of people saying, is this why I choose the first stall in is this where I heard it? Someone let us know that Mythbusters, this was such a popular pop-up video moment. Mythbusters did an episode on whether or not it was true. And they found, yeah, the first stall is typically the cleanest. And then some other knuckleheads went in and was like, well, if all of you are choosing the first stall, it's no longer the cleanest. Duh. I mean, it was amazing content. And I needed to share it as part of this kind of listener follower questions and stuff, because the main question was, is this why I choose the first? Yes, it is.
You never know what is going to hit
That's so
people's
funny.
minds.
I mean, I can tell you. Let me scroll back to our social media. Let me tell you. As of today, this post is now, I don't know, about a week old. It's got over 4,000 views. For us, that's viral.
Sure. Okay.
Wow.
And then the one right after that, which we will uncover in some nerd mail as well, was about the blue M in 1996 being voted into existence. Lots of people telling us it wasn't a 100 number, 1900 number. It was a toll-free number that you could call. And people were like, I voted for purple. And just, I mean, we also have about 4,000 views on that one. So they were back-to-back videos where all of a sudden we were getting eyes. We also got an increase of listens that week as well when those videos went a little bit viral for us. So
wonderful.
it's super awesome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to talk about toilets and M&Ms again. We'll put it on the list for next episode as well. Make sure you get some about toilets and M&Ms for all these new sickos that are listening to our
or pop-up video. Don't eat your M&Ms in the toilet.
Or do, whatever.
Unless it's the first stall.
If you're in the first stall, if you're sitting in the first, if you're right now listening to this podcast sitting in a first stall while eating some M&Ms, I'm not your dad.
Peak
whatever.
Nerd. You are now our nerd best friend.
Gross.
Rob, does Chuck Norris eat blue M's?
Chuck Norris.
That's a great question.
When Chuck Norris eats M&Ms, they get so scared they all turn white.
Those colors run from Chuck Norris.
Annalise, good one.
That's pretty good. These colors don't run, except from Chuck Norris.
Yeah. All right. So what's next for Nerd Best Friends?
What's next for Nerd Best Friends?
What say you, Dr. Intern Joan? What's next for Nerd Best Friends?
We need to do a full pod travel somewhere because it's always been just two of us going somewhere instead of all three of us.
Agreed.
I'll never remember.
The elusive trifecta of travel.
I'll never forget the Airbnb I found in Northern California that was like regular house on top, game room in the bottom with like skee ball and ping pong. And we were going to do our planning session there and then it fell apart. So I still dream of this all together group retreat.
We can still do that group retreat at that place, but you also have since found like a Star Wars themed Airbnb.
Well, that was in Toronto. Yeah.
We all have passports.
There's tons of unique places to stay in the world.
Yes.
And my other hope is for a regular book club. I know we did 2 this season, and I didn't come for Dungeon Coral or Carl. I can't say that.
Don't worry. If you haven't heard the episode yet, because it hasn't come out yet, but it has come out now as the recording of this episode. I'm sorry. It has come out now as the episode is live, but as of the recording, it has not yet. And we stumble over it the entire episode. We start calling it DCC.
Well,
Yeah, the way that you just had to say it super slowly and methodically is what we had to do with the podcast because it kept just.
that's it, right? But I love reading comic books. I love the idea that you brought in a book because that, as you know, opens up my whole world. But I think there's some money to be made there, listeners, if you're joining a specific book club run by Dr. Intern Joan and guest starred by our hosts.
Forget wanting that Oprah's book club button on your cover. You want a Nerd Best Friends approved stamp of nerd approval. It's going to happen.
Absolutely. I will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I will tell you right now, Dr. Joan is not in anybody's pocket. She's not in big literature. She's not being influenced. She's not getting all kinds of money to plug the books and put the Nerd Best Friend stamps on it. This is real deal evaluation and recommendation from a reader that knows, a reader that has read every book. She's not going to be influenced by dollars. She's only going to be influenced by content and
whatever Rob hates.
And that. Oh, that's peak. That's peak. I'll go next. What's next for Nerd Best Friends? Season 6. Duh. Okay,
No, that's
but
a sad timeline.
I also agree more nerd travels, whether it's together or separate. I would love to cover more of just really amazing things that exist on this earth that are super nerdy, such as, Joan, you bringing up that Toronto Star Wars themed and like sharing that trip you went on with your husband where your hotel room was a view of the Toronto, was it the baseball team? Right? Like just more nerd travels for all of us. I wish for all of us to be able to experience some stuff and share it with our nerd friends and our listeners and our followers, together or separate. Just I want more and more and more. I don't care if it's going to Mox every single time because every time I go, there's a story to be had. I wish for more nerd travels for us in the future. And then maybe. So I kind of alluded to it. I said spoiler alert earlier in the episode, but I'm going to say real quick. This past week, I informed my staff that I am not going to be returning to Ukiah High School, and I'm going to be moving back to Southern California. So I am actively interviewing for jobs right now. Depending on how close that ends up being to where Rob lives, I've started to consider what it might be like to record maybe once a month. And maybe some of that recording is a mini studio in person. So I don't know what that looks like, but maybe what's next is coming up with a way that we do some episodes here remotely on Riverside, and we do some episodes here and there, maybe together in person. So hopefully what's next for NBF is just leveling up now that I'm going to be living a little bit closer to my best friend again.
All right. Plot twist. None of this is going to happen. I'm canceling this freaking show unless we can get some more listeners and some more engagement. I am not going to let Annalise turn a room in her home into a podcast studio unless we can start getting some more engagement around here. And this is not to say that, like, you know, those of you who are writing it, those of you who join us every week and listen, you're doing a wonderful job. We're not saying you're not doing good enough. What we're asking for is tell a friend, repost a post, share the podcast when you're talking with your friends. Like, oh, you listen to any podcast? It's like, oh my gosh, I have this silly little nerd podcast. Makes me smile every week. Let me put it in your phone for you. Something like that. Like we gotta grow. We gotta grow because we have to have just more voices in the room. Like anything else, like the diversity is king, right? The diversity of ideas, the new ideas and the things are what we need to keep going, especially with the weekly episode topics and all of those kinds of things. Like I want to be talking about things like that question that came in about Superman versus lightsabers. That wouldn't have come from my brain. Like,
Yeah,
and that
same.
I had really a lot of fun talking about it and thinking about it with you. That's the kind of thing like we need those podcast ideas, those topic ideas, those questions, those kinds of things coming at us from all kinds of different people with different nerd perspectives and different things that they love. Gotta have it. So what's next for MBF? I really need it to be more listener generated ideas and content to kind of like for the next 200 episodes, just refresh the fun and the creativity that we're able to put into the show.
I want to be very clear. I agree with you, Rob. The more interaction we get, the more fun recording and creating these episodes are. I want our listeners, our current listeners, to know we are not in this to become part of that 1% of podcasters that can live off the podcast. We all three have careers and want to continue those careers. We are not necessarily looking, maybe raising a little bit more funds to cover our costs would be great.
I would love more
but
than
we're
if it
not,
covered costs. Yeah, for sure.
an ultimate goal for us is not to be able to stop our jobs and do this full time. Ultimate goal for us is to continue this and with maybe having enough funding to have someone else edit it so that we could just create more content, right? So that's really our end goal. What we want is more engagement. We do a pretty good job weekly of our episode downloads, but we're not quite at a point where we can raise funds, monetize it in order to do some of those other cool things. So the best thing our current listeners can do is share the podcast.
And the
Share it,
best
share it, share
thing
it.
Rob could do would make a live social media video mini painting, but he hates social media. I'll do it one day, listeners. I will get him to do it one day.
Imagine if I
Actually,
had a studio that you came and
yeah,
we mini painted together and
that's exactly what I was going to say, because we had this talk before of like, well, if we had a space where we could go live and like do some mini painting, but like Annalise could be looking at like whatever it was, whether it be Twitch or Patreon or whatever, could be like looking at the chat and like bringing up things to have conversations about. We could have minis getting done and stuff. Like I've seen that format work before on like live streams, and I think we could absolutely do that. It's just a matter of having that right space, and I think being in person for it is a little bit different as well. And again, it's an expense. There's different lighting, there's different cameras, there're different like things that we have to do to have multi-feed and stuff like that. So is it going to get there? Is it going to be worth it? How are we going to do that? But it'd be pretty fun. It would be pretty fun. I'm
I'm
gonna be
looking
painting these
forward
minis anyway.
I'm looking forward to that challenge wherever it is that I land. And also, obviously, some of it's going to depend on how far away it is. How far
Yeah,
away it
for
is.
sure.
That's 100 episodes, nerds. What was
Whew.
your favorite of the 100? Write into us, podcast at nerdbestfriends.com, and tell us your nerdy favorite episodes, moments, nerdstalgia, all the things. And what do you want to hear from
And
us in the future?
yes, and coming soon, a chance for you to not only write in, but maybe even leave those voicemail intros or something like that coming soon for season 6. So don't miss out. Sign up for Patreon now.
For the 100th time, starting with you, Dr. Intern Joan, what's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
Went more in depth with my nerd analog hobbies than ever, and I got a puzzle table.
Puzzle table.
It's basically a big rectangle that sits on a lazy Susan and has pull-out drawers, so you can have like sorted puzzle pieces and like
Look
rotate
at
it so you can
this.
work on different parts, so you don't have to move your chair around the table like I do. And then it has a big plastic toy on top of it, so the cat doesn't ruin any of the puzzle or try to steal any of the
see
puzzle.
that.
I haven't used it yet, but it is now in the room where it happens.
So
Joe,
Joan
this
sent
is
us a
awesome.
link, and we'll put that link up somewhere, maybe. My
This
goodness.
is cool.
So
Oh
it sits
gosh,
on
I'm
top
trying
of
to
your
look.
table.
It
It
sits on top
itself
of your
is not a
table.
table.
Yes.
Right, it's
It
a
could be.
table
They make
topper
them. Yeah.
with a lazy Susan on the bottom, so you can kind of move it around. Dude, how big is this? This looks so
Ooh,
cool
I like
for
that it can be
other
angled
nerd
too.
stuff.
It looks like you can angle it so you're not like hovered over it and hurting like your back and your neck. That's pretty cool. And then you have drawers to put different, like you want to color separate your pieces.
Yeah.
That
Is
is
it cork?
so cool.
It is corky feeling. I can't see
Okay.
it from here, but yeah, cork.
Gosh. Okay, so it's like 30 inches by
22 by 30 is what it says.
2.5 inches. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that would absolutely fit most like little miniature skirmish games on it.
Uh-huh.
And you could just be like I guess you'd have to be like super slow so your miniatures would go flying off with centrifugal force, but you could just be like, oh, let me get to that a little easier. And you could have all your rulers and dice and stuff ready to go in the little drawers. Oh my gosh. Like those drawers are little dice rolling,
Yeah, you just
trays.
They are.
Yep.
They're real
Anyway,
thin.
I turned Joan's cool puzzle thing into my own nerdy thing. This is awesome, Joan. I'm super happy for you and your puzzles.
Thank you.
And you said it has a cover so that like your animals can't disturb it. That's the best.
And that would
Yes.
be cool for like your card games and stuff that don't use a ton of like 3-dimensional stuff. Like if you were like in an epic game of Arkham Asylum, that like card game where you're laying stuff out or whatever, and you can't get to it until next weekend, you
Yeah.
just carefully stick that thing down. Don't have to worry about cats sleeping on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Eating meeples. Good stuff.
Maybe we'll post a picture when I finally do get a puzzle out.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
See about it.
Yeah. When you have it working, definitely send us a picture. I would love to see it.
Will do.
Hey, Rob, for the
Yeah.
100th time, best friend, what is the nerdiest thing you did this week?
The nerdiest thing I did this week was I binged the book Project Hail Mary. I was like, okay, I got invited to a big nerd meetup. There's like 13 nerds going to this movie with us. And we're actually leaving to go see the movie right after we record the show today. And so I found out about this last weekend and I was like, man, I really want to read the book first. And it's like, I've been wanting to read the book. And I never got around to it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen this week, darn it. And so I actually just finished it this morning before recording. And I got to say, I absolutely loved it. I hope this movie is good because that book is fantastic. 5 out of 5 would recommend. It's one of the best science fiction books I've probably read. It's so cool. And so I'm going now to see this Ryan Gosling movie, and hopefully it's gonna be just as cool. We're going like out of town to the big IMAX theater to see it, and we're gonna do a big dinner with some nerds. There's gonna be some listeners there. It's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
Amazing.
You'll have to let me know because the movie is out now and it's getting rave reviews. And I'd really love to support it and go see it in the theater, but there's no way I'm going to be able to read the book first. So I would love some input from you on whether or not it would ruin it by going to see the movie before reading the book. So once you see the movie, let me know.
Definitely bring that back because I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this book so much. If the movie is like the book, it's going to be awesome. If they change a bunch of stuff and make it like cheesy, I'll be the first to tell you like, no, boo, go read the book instead.
The movie's got great reviews, but I never know whether or not, it doesn't say unless they're specifically, I read the book and this is so much like the book. It's really just, this is a really great movie. You should go see it. So You'll have to let me know.
I will let everyone know. Annalise,
yo,
what is the nerdiest thing you did this week?
So there was a book that came out by 2 actresses, Alicia Haley and Kate Menning, who are most known for their roles in The L Word that came out in the early 2000s. This was a transformational show for a lot of people, including myself, I was 21 before I came out to myself, much less to anyone else in my life. And this was in the late 1900s. And these 2 actresses are just a couple years older than us. So their experiences of self-realization and coming out really mirror the time and the experience that I had. And they wrote this book about their process coming out and ending up on this show that was transformational in queer representation in media and how they like instantly became these icons overnight. And I hadn't read it. I don't know why. And just finally broke down and got the book. And my goodness, I've read it almost completely in about 3 days and just ate up talking about nerdstalgia, just what it felt like to be a queer person in the late 1900s when things were not as well accepted but starting to be accepted, and what it meant to have a show like The L Word. Actually, The L Word helped me understand the importance of representation in many ways of the intersectionality of who I am. There was a character on the show named Carmen who is Mexican-American, Chicana, and what it was like for her and her family. There's this dialogue that still sticks in my brain because I think I was sobbing when I saw this episode, but she takes her girlfriend home to meet her family, but she can't say that it's her girlfriend and all these like cultural aspects of being Mexican. And she says around the table of their friends is like, my family knows there are queer members of our family. We just don't talk about it, right? Like our Theo so-and-so borrowed someone's quince dress, brought it back a month later. No one asks what he did with it. We all know he was probably wearing it out to the bars. Like, I mean, I'm paraphrasing the conversation.
Sure.
Like, that is 100% what my experience was like as a 20-something-year-old coming out to myself and then to my family. So that's when I really realized how important representation is, and to read their perspectives of it was really cool. And I really nerded out about it and really thinking, like, I busted out the DVDs and just started playing them while I was like cleaning the house and doing laundry, because we closed all our streaming services. So I couldn't go stream it, but I took out the DVDs and just started playing them and just remembered what it was like and how important the show was. Just really cool to be in those feelings, because now we're at a point that it's so widely accepted, and things are so widely accepted more now than they were 30 years ago. And obviously I'm 30 years out of the closet or so, that it's cool to remember what that was like and how far we've come and how far I've come. So that's what I nerded out about this week.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And is the L Word streaming anywhere?
You can stream the L Word on, I think it's Paramount Plus, because it was a Showtime show, so it's still on Showtime, but I don't think Showtime has its own app anymore. I think they merged with Paramount. So you can stream all those Showtime shows like Dexter, Queer as Folk, and The L Word. Those were like, I had Showtime for many years because of those 3 shows.
There we go. And I've added the book to my list. So thank you for talking about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it'll be an easy read for you, Joan. It took me a few days. It'll take you like an hour. So
There you go. Thank you for sharing that on me.
yes. I'll just close up the show, even though I did it backwards at the start. Next
I was going to
week.
say I could do it.
You want to do it? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. That's our show. Remember, Chuck Norris once parallel parked a train. Next episode, we will nerd out over live action adaptations and ask who wore it better. Before you go, join us. Hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Drop us a 5-star rating and help more nerds find their people. Find us on social at NerdBestFriends or email us podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Grow the nerd herd, spread the geeky joy, and we'll see you next time.
Nerds, thank you for joining us for 100 episodes. I'm looking forward to the next 100, 200, 300, however long 100 it goes. Best friends, thank you. 100 episodes. Very few podcasts make it to this, so it's pretty exciting.
Congratulations. Congratulations, you two.
We did it! All right, next week, live action favorites. Let's nerd out.
Chuck Norris can win Connect 4 in 3 moves.